Well, let's go ahead and get this thing rolling. Well, in Houston, I'm John Herder, Tuesday, the 6th of October. Great as always to have you along, everybody. Well, in a nutshell, From the Experts is a compressed virtual networking accelerator, helping people across industries connect very quickly in a brief, moderated, interactive show format. So, what's in it for you? Well, the FTE promise, if all goes well, your curiosity spark, new ideas come to light, and you may have helped the other person solve a problem or reach that opportunity faster. Networking has never been more important to your business, as you know. Help me welcome our guest expert, Ashley Kalinauskas, founder and CEO of Torigen Pharmaceuticals, helping pets diagnosed with cancer. So from grad school thesis to leading an established, fast-growing venture-backed company, and now named by Forbes Global Top 30 Under 30 Entrepreneurs in Science, Ashley and Torigen, they're on the move. Ashley, it's been such a pleasure to spend a little bit of time with you to get to know you. And thanks for making that time from the experts today. So what's on your mind and what would you like to share with us?
All right, perfect. Well, thank you, everyone, and thanks for joining me here today, and John for having me on From the Experts. And really excited to share with you today a little bit about Torigen's journey, and specifically my journey as an entrepreneur. Because, it's not straight out of the gate running full steam ahead. There's definitely mountains that have to be climbed every step of the way. But we're really excited about what we're building. And I think kind of towards the end, being able to really kind of see from everyone the trajectory that we have moving forward. It would be great to have some advice as well as kind of some feedback as well.
Cool.
So really to kind of get started, I want to share a little bit about what the business is, who Torigen is, who I am, and really kind of how we got started. So I was attending a really innovative program for my master's degree at the University of Notre Dame, and it was focused on scientific entrepreneurship. So really being heavily involved in the sciences, but then also with an eye towards are something that you're working on within one of the labs at the university, could it actually be commercialized? And my professor and our chief technology officer, Dr. Mark Succo, has joined me here today as well. But really, Mark had developed this amazing technology about utilizing personalized tissue vaccines. And what that means is after a tumor becomes surgically excised and removed, really what you have is the fingerprint of what went wrong in that patient at the time that it went wrong. So I always think of the genetic mutations that occur with cancer as a cancerous tumor starts to grow and divide. Of course, those mutations are at the DNA level, but what ends up happening is that different proteins become transcribed, and those proteins on the surface of the tumor are really specific to that patient and, of course, specific to that cancer. Those are called tumor-associated antigens. And what our technology is really meant to do is to be able to stimulate the body against the tumor-associated antigens to really kind of retrain the immune system that what it allowed to grow is wrong and needs to be corrected, because cancer is a disease of the immune system. All of us right now have a cancerous cell inside of us that's gone awry, and our body has marked it for destruction, and the cell itself is marked for destruction. But cancer occurs when it starts growing and dividing in a way that the body could no longer control, or that tumor has now become really good at evading the host immune response. So it's hiding itself and it's down regulating the immune response. So when the tumor becomes surgically removed and it comes into a researcher's hands, we really see it as a blueprint for what you have in order to create a therapy. And all of this really started, Mark had developed this technology, and it had been patented and it had been published. And, now what? what do you do when you have something that is showing really good success in mouse and rat models? How are you really able to take it to that next level and get it out into the hands of someone or a company in order to start commercializing it? And when we started viewing the human potential for this technology, that's a long timeline. That's a lot of money that needs to be evaluated. But really, we took a turn. And early on, we took a pivot because Mark had treated his own dog, Sadie, that was diagnosed with oral squamous cell carcinoma. And he utilized the personalized vaccine. And Sadie ended up not dying from cancer. She ended up dying from natural diseases. And that was the first dog that this technology had been utilized in order to treat. And as a grad student, when I'm learning about the science, but of course having an eye towards, could this be a commercial potential? Hearing about Sadie really led us to say, hey, if we could help Sadie, are there other dogs that we would be able to help with cancer? And that's really when I started looking into the fact of, well, how many dogs and cats actually get diagnosed with cancer? And it's pretty astounding that over 4 million dogs and 4 million cats each year are diagnosed with cancer in the United States. Over 50% of all dogs over the age of 10 will die from cancer. And cancer is about 5 times more prevalent in our dogs than it is in humans. So when we're talking about really being able to have an effect and be able to commercialize an opportunity, and especially a technology that can be done at scale that really preserves the ability to grow and can be provided at a cost effective way, that's really the aha moment of, wow, we can really do something here. And also in the industry, there's about 300 veterinary oncologists in the United States, which is just not enough for the amount of pets that get diagnosed with cancer. And a lot of pet owners don't really want to put their pet through chemotherapy or radiation for a variety of reasons, either cost, potential for side effects, or it's inaccessible. They don't have access to one. Depending on where you live, there may not be an oncologist within 3 hours of you. So for us, really, we said if we can provide safe, effective, and affordable cancer technologies, we not only would have a really great market opportunity, we'd actually be able to make a difference. And from the day that we kind of embarked on really being able to start the company, we've now been able to treat nearly over 700 dogs diagnosed with cancer, 150 cats, and 25 horses. So we've been able to truly take a technology and be able to get it into the hands of someone that it would help. And in our world, we're helping dogs and we're helping cats. And it just means so much about being able to grow here and also really being able to take this journey, because the journey is not easy. I mean, I'm young. This is my first company. This is my first kind of like big time job in any sense, and I've had to learn on the job what it's going to take. So when we initially started, we had very limited capital. I took a consulting job in order to move back home to Connecticut, and I entered into a program called the University of Connecticut's Technology Incubation Program, where you can apply to have a small lab space. And that's really what we needed in order to get started. And that lab space kind of grew as we obtained additional angel investing funding from the university as well as from Connecticut Innovations. We were able to grow. So we went from having like a kind of a shoebox type of laboratory that fit our needs perfectly to finally I was like, okay, now I need an office. And then we started hiring employees. So it was like, well, they need an office. And then we needed a bigger lab because we were growing. And now we kind of take up a whole back corner of the whole labs at the university, where we're just rapidly growing because not only are we able to generate revenue as a biotechnology company, we have customers, we have a sales team that's doing phenomenal. We have research that's ongoing and that's really exciting. And it's, we have so many different facets that we're moving into that we're really able to kind of say, here's our first technology. Here's what we've been able to do. But this veterinary oncology market is bigger. So what we've done at Torigen is really kind of bring together some of the top tier individuals in the animal health industry to help us grow and help us get the word out and help us be able to figure out what's next, because we feel that there's so much more that could be done. So kind of one of the other things that I wanted to talk about, this slide's a little bit busy, but really at Torigen, we have been the first, and we're really excited about kind of the direction the technology is going. So it started off with research at the University of Notre Dame, and now we're really progressing it forward within our labs. So being able to utilize our canine tumor samples to be able to truly understand how we want this technology to move forward to bridge that translational gap. So one thing we started doing really as the pandemic hit, well, we had hired some amazing sales team members, and we were in a global lockdown and a global shutdown. So in order for us to really utilize that time to the best of our ability, we looked internal. We looked at saying, what can we do in order to improve the technology? And what we did is, we know going forward, we're going to be doing some more prospective studies in our canine patients. And we wanted to look at different adjuvanting structures. What can we use? Because every vaccine needs an adjuvant to help kickstart the immune system. And in ours, we use a really novel biomaterial. And we started looking at what else can we combine with that biomaterial to like kickstart the immune system. And really, we looked at like a bunch of different structures for kicking the immune system into play. But where we ended up, which was kind of really novel in itself and has resulted in new patents and new data, and we're hopefully in the process of publishing this over the next couple of weeks to maybe probably like before the end of this year. We'll definitely have the data publication ready. It's a technology we're calling Rabivax. And with Rabivax, essentially it's a personalized cancer vaccine. But because every dog, cat, and horse is diagnosed with rabies, what we're doing is we're tagging the viral protein to the surface of the patient's own tumor cell to help stimulate an immune response that helps stimulate a memory response, because every dog gets the rabies vaccine. Now, when we tag their cancer cell with the rabies virus glycoprotein, we can get better presentation and better pickup by the immune system. And it's a really novel way of kicking in memory faster. And we found that it helps improve our response in mouse models. So we're really excited about being able to move this forward for canine patients. But more importantly, kind of the implications that this can have, we're focused on really saying, if this works for rabies, now let's take a step back. Now let's take the MMR, let's take the measles viral glycoprotein, and let's tag that to the patient's tumor cell. Let's also take HPV, and let's tag that to the tumor cell. So now let's really start looking at translational opportunities for how we're treating dogs with cancer, but how this can be applied for humans with cancer and be able to de-risk it. And really, when we talk about how we're moving forward, we not only see our own pipeline moving forward, but we have a lot of early stage human health companies that approach Torigen about being able to work with them. Because instead of going from mouse to human, we feel that there's an intermediary. The NIH recognizes that the Center of Comparative Oncology, dogs get similar tumor types to humans. So if we're able to help a dog with cancer, can we also help a human with cancer? So we're really focused on leveraging partnerships with early stage human health companies where we can be that intermediary, where Torigen has the potential to commercialize on the veterinary side, but we can help de-risk an asset going forward, and we can provide that data back through a co-sharing opportunity. So moving forward, we've been able to really say that, we have a technology, we grew the technology, we improved the technology, and we're going to make a bigger company because we want to own the veterinary oncology space, and we want to be seen as a translatable opportunity from dog to human. So right now we're in the process of raising additional capital. We're raising a convertible debt round right now, but going into the fall, we're really going to be focused on raising now is the fall, but going into quarter one of 2021, being able to raise $5 million in a true equity round to be able to accelerate what we have and what we're growing. And, as a young founder, being able to truly kind of see the vision and be able to get after it. It's been a long road for us in some regards. It's been gone by in a blink of an eye in others, and really we're just truly prepared to take that next step. And one thing that I know that has worked out really well for us is we work with a lot of angel groups. We're helping dogs with cancer. We have a revenue generating product that's on track for growth, and we have a bigger vision in order to make the company bigger. But I'm in the process of really taking that next step, going from angel investors to VCs now. And that's definitely a step that I'm a little not hesitant about. I'm ready to jump in full force, but it's kind of the next progression for the company of really being able to be venture backed and grow. And I know that's one thing that I'd like to talk about today is kind of that journey. Because for us, I think, and for me, being coachable is probably one of the number one things that I take away on a daily aspect. There is a lot I don't know, but what I do know is I know a lot about my company. I know a lot about where I want to be, where I want to take things, how I want to be able to grow this, because this is not only something that I'm so passionate about. I want to be able to help dogs with cancer, and I want to be able to have them live happy, healthy lives. And we know we have the support of veterinarians and pet owners. I want to be able to take that next step and really be able to grow our organization and really be able to capture the vision that we have moving forward. So kind of as we go, I think John had some questions that he wanted to pop up.
Yeah, thanks, Ashley. So first of all, as you guys can see, I've asked for questions. We'll come right back to it. But hey, something new. FTE is constantly experimenting with new ways to engage members on the show. More trust in the group equals richer, stronger networking. Confidence, trust, accelerated connection, faster to the opportunity. You get it. So let's take this poll and we're going to roll with that right now. Here it comes. So if you guys would respond to that, should be on your screens here shortly. We've got 4 questions. And then, Ashley, I think what we'll do is as that comes through, I've got something that you can answer here. One question that came from Scott Dozier is like, hey, how do your treatment costs for the pet owner compare to traditional cancer treatment strategies? How do your results compare to traditional strategies? That kind of comparison.
Oh, that's a great question. So, overall, our personalized cancer vaccine provided back to the veterinarian and to the pet owner is about $1,800 for the series of 3 vaccines. In the veterinary market, mostly everything is paid out of pocket. Less than 5% of pet owners have pet insurance. And as the pet gets older, that number actually slides down even further. So by the age of 10, less than 2% of pet parents actually have pet insurance on their dog. But the cost of chemotherapy and radiation therapy starts at about $5,000 and for a full course goes up to about $20,000. So if your pet was undergoing radiation therapy, which, is definitely an option for some pets, you're looking at putting your dog under anesthesia every day for almost 2 to 3 weeks. And that cost is going to be a down payment on the house in order to help your pet with cancer. And, what we really wanted to do was be able to provide an affordable treatment option that's also accessible, because I think that's one major thing that the market is missing out on. If so few pets actually make it to a veterinary oncologist, they're being treated by their general practitioner. And how they're being treated is just by tumor removal surgery. But there's a high likelihood for most of these cancers that tumor is just going to keep coming back time and time again. So our goal is to really intervene. We want to prevent that tumor from coming back. We want to fight distal metastases and also fight microcytic disease. So for us, at $1,800 for the series of 3 vaccines, we feel that that's very supportive by the market and by the team of pet owners and veterinarians that we work with.
Awesome. Hey,
And in terms of results,
yeah,
we found that our results for some tumor types are equivalent or exceed traditional chemotherapy.
thank you.
And we're in the process of publishing that data now.
Steve Nockenmus. Steve, forgive me. I'm not sure I'm saying your last name right. Hey, why don't you go ahead and ask your question if you can unmute yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Ashley, thanks so much for doing this presentation. Just want to know, in terms of demand, do you see this more driven towards those specialty referral oncologists, or do you see this as something to launch to general practitioners across the US?
That's a great question as well. And what we find is about 25% of our current customers are the specialty hospitals, but they make up about 35 to 40% of our overall revenue currently. So those specialty hospitals are seeing cancer on a daily basis, of course, and they really, when we're offered as kind of the pet owner that's looking to do it all, or the pet owner that may have never been referred into their clinic. So a really kind of interesting case study is we work with an amazing specialty hospital out in Seattle. And that specialty hospital, if a pet owner comes in wanting to, I want to do chemotherapy, radiation therapy, and immunotherapy, then our option is on the table. But more importantly, they had a big referral network of about 60 hospitals that referred in, but they knew that 90% of those pets, even being local, weren't coming to them. So by presenting out our option to those veterinary clinics, they started seeing more referrals come through and more pet owners becoming, they wanted to do the immunotherapy, and that was what was driving them in through the door. And I think that as we grow, we need to be cognizant of both populations kind of have different needs, but the pet owners are really the ones who want options.
Hey, so we've got a few more questions, but what do you say? Let's go ahead and take a look at the poll and we'll work off of that. Let me publish it. Can you guys see it? No, it's a slow. Here we go. Let's share the results. Here we go. So we had 70, I think it was 75% of the people participated. Well, 75% of the people have a pet. With cancer, that's again about 75% say yes. Is that shocking to you, Ashley, or is this pretty much what you found all along your road here?
I think that's a high number of 72% have had a pet diagnosed with cancer. That I think that definitely aligns with what we're seeing. Absolutely, but it always shocks me no matter what.
So then as we go into the Torigen poll further, do you view animal health, treating dogs with cancer, as a scalable model for human oncology companies to partner with? And we've got about 50% of respondents said yes, 10 said no, and 40 said they need to know more about it before they can decide.
Absolutely. And kind of, how I view our vision of moving forward. And like I said, we've had so many human health early stage companies come to us. And what we've done is we've picked kind of the topic areas. I know what I want a product to do. So I want an oncolytic viral technology that could be injected intratumorally for tumors that cannot be surgically excised. And if we're able to do that without causing tissue necrosis and sloughing, and be able to really have an intratumoral injection that starts to see the tumor start decreasing in size to a point where it can be surgically excised, I know that that's going to be a game changer in veterinary medicine. So what our team is focused on doing is identifying the top 5 technologies that we think we could partner with, and then being able to understand how we can partner with those groups in order to advance maybe 2 of those forward into clinical studies. And at every point of the way, provide that human health company back with the data, but for us, be able to retain all of the commercial rights in veterinary. Because what that human company wants, they don't want to take their ball off of getting into their phase 1, 2 clinical studies. And we don't want to have them change that ball. But what we want is the thought that, hey, veterinary medicine can allow for revenue generating potential a lot earlier. And if we have the right partners, we'll be able to really provide back that data to make the technologies move faster. So we have a competitor, but a friendly competitor. They started off as a human health company for a cancer technology. They went into doing animal health because it became a hard road to continually raise money in order to get to that next trial, into that next phase. They flipped it over to an animal health company, and by having their studies be done in animal, the FDA looked at that favorably and gave them a fast track. So their human health side got a fast track for FDA because, and it really reinvigorated the human health side of that company. And for us, we want to be able to have that pipeline. But for us, we're in vet. We want to grow in vet, but we always want to have an eye towards how we can really be able to change the cancer industry.
Yeah, so before we go to question 4, let's blend in. You kind of answered Chip Schweiger's question. He said, who else is in the space currently? Are you a category of one? Well, the answer to that is no, but how would you respond to that, Ashley?
Yeah, so outside of that one competitor that I just mentioned, what I love about animal health is that everybody is very friendly and they're always willing to kind of work, and we talk very frequently. We're on industry groups together, so we have one that we're definitely right in line with, and there's a few others that are emerging. So we have some gene editing technologies making their way into veterinary medicine. We also have some CAR T approaches coming this way. And every time, we see these companies starting to emerge, it has to be affordable and it has to be accessible. We can't have $10,000 to $20,000 therapies make their way into veterinary medicine, because you're talking about the 1% of 1% that are going to be able to afford those, but also the clinical bar for efficacy with the price point is going to keep getting more and more higher. So it really, as long as it's accessible and affordable, I think that there is a market. And for us, I think we're the only ones that at every step completely keep that in our minds of that's who our market is.
Cool. So then back to the risks involved here. We've got a couple of folks. One, Brian Skeels, refers to a book called The Math of Life and Death. But what he's really after is, how do you deal with bad consequences and risk versus entrepreneurial expansion? And then I'd like to link that with Werner Bernstein's comment. He says, hey, what's the regulatory requirements for use of treatments on dogs and cats?
Yeah, so the map of life and death, I just wrote that down. I'll look into that book. So are you referring more to like how to grow and really how to always keep your eye on the ball in terms of startups?
Brian?
Yeah, this is, but no, I guess it's more the risk. It's
Bad audio. So Brian deals with risks all the time. He's a risk expert. So his question says, how do you deal with bad consequences and risks versus entrepreneurial expansion, sort of that balance?
that and how big a test sample, because statistics will tell you how good or bad things are depending on the bigger the size you can test.
Got it.
Absolutely. So, for us, re really, every patient that we treat, we have a database where we log that information. And for us, we always have to look at that risk of what are the adverse events associated. And it's one thing that we know our vaccine performs really well is that we know we have strong established safety. We have published safety literature, and we have another publication that's forthcoming as well, really showcasing that the risks by using our vaccine are very minimal. Injection site redness, irritation, mild lethargy. So a pet owner can really feel strong about utilizing us. And then when it comes to us analyzing for efficacy, why I believe this product was meant to be positioned in the veterinary industry to start was really because when that tumor becomes surgically removed and excised, you really lose your measurement standard. And we're able to work in dogs that are chemo naive, radiation naive. They've never had either of those, and for the most part, and we're able to get tumors at an earlier stage. So on the human side, not having to have patients that have failed 20 to 30 rounds of chemo and radiation prior to recruitment into an immunotherapy study, we're able to really get patients that have not had that and that are earlier in stage. But when we come to analyzing our data and our results, there are canine cancers that are very aggressive that are going to affect lifespan in a very limited time. So for us, looking at those patients provides us with the inside peek under the cover of, okay, this is working really well for this tumor type because we're extending out past the surgery alone date. We're right in line with chemotherapy, and we're able to really follow that data as we grow. And for us also, it's been able to point us in the right direction when we're launching prospective clinical studies as to what tumor type we know is going to give us a very clean endpoint that is going to allow for us in a finite time period to measure for overall success. So that kind of builds into the next question of who we're regulated by. So we're regulated by the USDA, Center of Veterinary Biologics. So the USDA covers all immunotherapeutics and vaccines in the veterinary world, and that's who we're regulated under. We're undergoing the conditional licensure process now, but currently we're an experimental product on the market.
Thank you very much. So let's move to that fourth question on the poll. Torigen scaling fast to capture the market and seeking additional investors. Based on what you've heard, ladies and gentlemen, do you have trusted investor or company contacts that Torigen should talk to? And we had 28% say yes. We had 40% say no, and 28 said, well, we want to know more. So I'll let you know that I've had somebody contact me privately and said they have a couple of contacts they'd like to pass on to you. Glad to do that after the show is finished. But then, so I'll allow anybody from the audience, if you want to pipe up and you'd like to either talk to us directly about contacts that you may know or want to know more about the type of investor that Torigen's looking for, or you can also contact Ashley directly later or myself. So please feel free to pipe up. And while you do that, I'll bring forward Li Shang's question about, it goes along with this really well. Hey, Ashley, what are some of the best ways to support and help Torigen? What can we do?
Yeah, no, that's again a great question. Thank you. So for us, we currently have an active fundraising on Propel X. Propel X is a site for accredited investors to provide investment. And for this convertible debt round, out of the 1.5 million that we're raising, we have about 400,000 still remaining. So our goal is to close this by the end of this month, which is super exciting. And especially during the pandemic when things were a little little scary for a bit, for us being able to come out on the other side so much stronger. So we've grown in revenue over 60% quarter over quarter, and we have new data and technology for the Rabavax that we're focused on launching into clinical studies at the start of next year. So we're rapidly growing and moving. So looking at Propel X on our site, it's open and ready for active investors to participate in. You can also feel free to contact me, Ashley at Torigen.com, with any questions that you may have. And then also for anyone who's starting a company and looking for some advice, I work with other founders from grad school level to and all the way up to starting their third career and looking at am I going to start a company? What do I do? What are the pitfalls that I should avoid? And I'm happy to share my story and provide the advice that others have given me that I've followed, or the advice that I had to learn the hard way on my own.
Uh, you and Torigen are driving a lot of questions. I'm not sure we're going to have enough time to answer them, but one more. What markets are you focusing on, real quickly?
Yeah, so I mean, our market, the animal health, veterinary oncology, I think that no one's taking a leadership position there with a multi-product approach. And for us, being able to say that we can have 3 products on the market, one for tumors that are surgically excised, one for tumors that cannot be surgically excised, one for blood-based cancers, we can really not only lead that market, but have, and grow to 30, 40, 50 million dollars a year in revenue. And there's multiple exitable opportunities for Torigen. So when it comes to the who's who in the animal health industry, a lot of people don't recognize the name Elanco or Zoetis, but Elanco is Eli Lilly, Novartis Animal Health, and now recently Bayer Animal Health. That's Elanco is their behemoth animal health publicly traded billion-dollar corporation, and Zoetis is Pfizer's animal health company. So, there's a lot moving in the industry, and also one of the big drivers is that, and something that's just makes me excited, like waking up every morning, veterinary appointments are at an all-time high. So with people being home and also people adopting more pets,
Right.
veterinary appointments are up 125% from last year. One of our, he's just a great veterinarian that we work with often. He called me and he was like, for the first time in my entire career, I've had to put puppy deposits down that if you want to come in and be one of our clients, you're going to have to put a deposit of a few $100s down just to come into our clinic. Because he's like, otherwise we're so booked, we can't see our current customers. So that part has also really helped us grow with just the amount of volume and appointments.
That's the last question that we're able to take, but I have a few more. I want to thank everybody for the questions. So we're now to the time that we call the ask and give. This is where we ask the expert, what does she need or he need help with? Ashley, what's your ask of the audience today?
I think right now, I think my ask is a little bit more complex. I need help closing this current round, but I need kind of that advice moving into the venture capital space. So for us, being able to look at VCs and be able to have them, say, you're not too early, you are right, and this is the right opportunity at the right time. That's kind of the hard ask that I have, is making sure that we're at the right time and right space. We believe so, and we want others to as well.
Cool. So the other half of that is, what's your give? What would you give to the FTE audience on the call today that you would give freely?
I mean, I give freely. I would love to, the advice that I have, as well as being able to open up my network. Especially if you're a founder looking to grow a company, I know I would happily provide any advice.
Thank you very much. So, hey, folks, now a word from our sponsor. So, with so much changing today, FTE's unique platform is connecting you with new leads, relationships, and existing clients without having to sell. It's a smart and timely tool, strategic, that complements and enhances what you already have in your business development toolbox. Could a Q4 sponsorship be smart for your business? Hey, let's talk. Simple reminder that you are here for each other. So how can the FTE network help you? Well, why not simply ask each other? Remember that all show participants receive each other's contact information so you can connect after the show is needed. And we have several opportunities clearly from Ashley's talk today. And good news, FTE is growing fast. In the next few weeks, our website comes online. It'll be easier to share FTE with a friend and continue the conversation through breakout rooms and Slack channels. Well, folks, we're out of time. Our next show is October 20th, when we meet Christopher Curran, global subsea expert, now entrepreneur. Great story. You're not going to want to miss it. October 20th. Stay tuned. And then lastly, how are we doing? I'm going to send you a 3-question survey along with the participant list. Really need your feedback. What worked, what didn't? Please come back to us on that. And as always, really grateful to spend time with you today on the show. Thank you for joining us, and make this the smartest 45 minutes of your day. Ashley, thanks again. Take care, everybody. Take care. Have a good day, everybody.